Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show. But I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of life coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. And I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program. We'll be right back to the show. But before we do, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, factormeals.com, where if you go to factormeals.com/unbroken50 and use the code unbroken50, you can get 50% off your first order. That's factormeals.com/unbroken50. If you're like me and you are a person who is busy trying to create a life, heal, work on their health, wealth, and relationships, and not to mention deal with the day-to-days of normal life, you do not have time to be going to the grocery store and trying to figure out what you're going to cook every single day of the week. In fact, one time I did the math and I realized I was spending over 15 hours a week at the grocery store and cooking. When I added Factor, I got to use that time for myself, for my family, for my friends, for my community, and for my business. And so if you're in the place where you need some more support in the kitchen, head to factormeals.com/unbroken50 and use the code unbroken50 to get 50% off.
Do you ever feel like life is a never-ending series of lessons while you try to find purpose, meaning, and answers? I am Vanessa Fontana, the host of Figuring Shit Out, a podcast where we undertake self-help, coming of age, and healing. As I live my 20s in New York City figuring shit out myself, I've realized that if you spend your whole life trying to get your act together, you don't have a life. You have an act. On Figuring Shit Out, every Sunday, you get to normalize the journey of not knowing and be guided into living your life with more intention and ease.
Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show. But I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of life coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. And I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program. I think there's a lot to be said about the commitment that we make to ourselves, the promises that we make to ourselves, and the way that we show up in the world. And today's guest is really a testament to that. My friend Ria Mestiza, who, just so you know, got up at 4:30 in the morning, her time, she's in Australia, to come and record and be a guest on Think Unbroken podcast. That's commitment. And I have a tremendous amount of admiration for her and her health journey, for her willingness to show up in the world, but most importantly, because she's trying to make an impact and give people the tools to live a healthy, fulfilling, and sustainable life. We connected through the 10X community, which I know you guys have heard me many times, in Grant Cardone's organization. And she's just a powerhouse, a rock star, an amazing human being, and someone driven by the mission to not only overcome through her own experiences and challenges, but to give people the tools to do the same. One of the things that I say all the time is one of the most important things that we can do as individuals is have mentors and leaders and coaches who are just simply a step in front of us to mimic, model, and master what they do, and to leverage their tools to circumnavigate the chaos of really what it takes to figure out a lot of things on your own. And Ria is a great testament of a person who not only has executed that in her own life, gives those same tools to the people of the world who are so willing to accept them. And so it's an honor to be able to bring Ria on the show to have this conversation. And without further ado, my friends, let's get into the show. You're listening to the Think Unbroken podcast, where our mission is to give you the tools to heal, overcome the past, get unstuck, and become the hero of your own story. I'm your host, Michael Unbroken, author, speaker, coach, and advocate for adult survivors of childhood trauma. It's our mission to end generational trauma in our lifetime through education and information. Thank you so much for being here, being a member of the Unbroken Nation, and learning how to become unbroken. Please do me a favor. It would mean the world to me if you take 30 seconds, leave a review for the show on iTunes so that other people can find this information, and check out our YouTube channel if you just search Think Unbroken. Thank you for being here. We'll see you in the show. Hey, what's up, Unbroken Nation? Hope that you're doing well wherever you are in the world today. I'm very excited to be back with you with another episode with my friend, Ria Mestiza. Ria, my friend, what is going on in your world today?
G'day from Australia, Michael. Not that we actually use that, but thanks for having me. I'm super pumped to be here today.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here with you. I love your story and your journey, but for those who do not know, can you tell us a little bit of background and how you got to where you are today?
I don't think we have enough time, but to round it up really is, I guess I'm a mindset and performance coach is best how I describe myself now, only because I tend to take people from where they are to where they want to be in every capacity, much like yourself, Michael. And how I got here is right in the waves of life. It's like when life directs you in certain ways, I've learned to, in some capacity, ride it and embrace it and enjoy the journey. And yeah, all paths lead to where we need to go, even when it seems at the time it's less than ideal. So yeah, when I one of the major things that got me into the health industry specifically was when my father had a heart attack one evening, and I was living in another city, and I couldn't drive home, I couldn't fly home, and it really made me assess life. And I loved my life there, don't get me wrong, but in the back of my mind, I just thought, you know what, if anything ever happened to my dad, I would never forgive myself if I wasn't around. And I packed my life up there and I moved back to my home state, and I just didn't have that drive to be in the corporate world anymore. I didn't want to be doing the same thing that I was. And I thought, you know what do I love? And I really have always loved being healthy, fitness, being strong, sports, all of those sorts of things. And I was like, okay, well, what could I do? And, I found myself studying to get my certificate in fitness to become a personal trainer at that stage, or a group fitness instructor first, because I thought that's what I enjoyed. But I fell in love with personal training, and I never looked back. Like I never actually even, did the initial inspiration for changing paths in the first place. And, when I talk about shit going wrong, it's like my final exam of becoming a personal trainer. It was a practical one, and I felt pain, like excruciating pain. But you're in the middle of an assessment, so you're like, okay, keep going, push through. And right at the end, once everything was done, I collapsed to the floor, and I was just in excruciating pain. And they took me to the hospital, and no one could identify what was wrong with me. They're like, "Oh, you're a fit and healthy young woman. We can't seem to find what's wrong with you. We suspect that you have a hernia," even though they couldn't actually identify where the hernia was. And so this spiraled me into a learning curve of trying to identify what the hell was going on inside my body and why I was experiencing this pain. And it took a while, it took months until we discovered that I actually had PCOS, or polycystic ovarian syndrome, and I was having ovarian cyst burst, which it's one of the most painful things you can experience as a, well, and actually I would say as a woman, but it's excruciatingly painful. And I was having them quite frequently, but I still didn't know why. And so, yeah, this went on for months and months, 6, 8, maybe even 10 months. I stopped training because I just, you know, they told me not to. They said, like, "Look, avoid all this." And so I did what I was told. And thankfully, I had people come into my life that steered me in the right direction, were able to heal and help and help me find the answers. And then I got to a point where, yeah, I was okay. And so, and it led me to my first bodybuilding comp because a woman who, had sort of witnessed me going through all of these obstacles, she said, "Ria, you always wanted to compete in a bodybuilding show." I said, "Yeah." I said, "But I've had all this shit go wrong." And she said, "Well, what's holding you back now?" And I was like, "You're right, nothing." And I literally started my prep like the very next day. And 3 months later, I was in the best shape of my life. Honestly, it was the epitome of how I dreamed I would look like, from being a young girl and, 12 years old and seeing, these beautiful women on the front of magazine covers. And I was like, I want to look like that one day. And there I was. I'd achieved it, 1 week out from my first show. And I had another ovarian cyst burst. And I was like, oh my goodness. And people were like, "Oh, that sucks, Ria. Like, surely, there'll be another show, there'll be another time." And I was like, "No, no way. Like, I've been prepping for this. Like, my head was totally in the game for this." And I was like, "There's nothing stopping me from getting up on that stage." And, and as much pain as I was in, I was backstage and they called my name out, popped my heels on and like these hookah heels, really high heels, smiled, twirled, did all the things that I needed to do. And as soon as I was backstage, I kicked those heels off and limped back to a chair to reside. So, um, and I had a very successful season. I got seconds and thirds that season, and it was quite the accomplishment to, you know, overcome such a long, long, long time, 12 months probably of just, it was probably the worst year of my life, to be honest, and you have other things going on as well. And yeah. So I hope that answered your question. It's a long-winded answer to your question, Michael, but yeah, that's sort of the start of the journey.
Yeah, that's really intense, and that's why I wanted you to kind of open with that, because I think one of the things that frequently happen in life is that life happens, and it's really easy in those moments of whether it's pain or setbacks or whatever it is to just stop, to give up, to not keep going towards that thing. And I think about life in the aspect or in the framework of that, we're gonna die one day. Like I've come to terms with this. And in that I often think about the reality that the only way to fully live is to not die with regrets. And sometimes that means pushing yourself in times that you need to, and other times it means taking care of yourself in times that you need to. One of the things that I know you really talk about is how to summon your powers when shit does get hard, because ultimately that's going to happen. Like that is the human experience. Things are going to get hard. How do you do that? How does one tap into their inner strength to be able to persevere?
That's a very good question because it's something that I've learned that it has come to me from my father. Like he's given me this ability to be resilient. And it's from his example that I was able to hone that within myself. And yeah, it's because my parents, both of them have gone through a lot of shit in their life. And so I never take that for granted. I never take how lucky I am to have grown up in a country that, I had so many things opportunities that they never had. And partially that's the other thing too, gratitude, it's like, okay, what does it seem to be that I am good at or that comes naturally to me that's harder for others? And and that's kind of step one in determining what are your strengths. Because when I work with people, most people don't actually know what their strengths are. Or, we take these things for granted because they come so naturally to us. But I think it's a process of learning to identify what is actually of value to not only your life, but to those around you when shit gets tough and you're able to take a leading role or offer the support that you need in whatever capacity. It's identifying really just, what are your strengths? I think a lot of people really lack knowing that.
And when they don't, because I agree with that, I don't think most people have been able to figure out what their strengths are. How do you do that, right? How do you figure out what those are so you do have a leverage point?
I think that a lot of the time, and what I've noticed for myself particularly is it's the things that the people closest to you tell you do best. And we normally sort of, oh yeah, okay, no worries, but at the same time, it's taking note of that, starting to even note it down. It's like, oh, so and so said that I'm very good at doing X, and it's sort of part of knowing what, like as an entrepreneur as well. It's like what value, like if you're a small business owner, like what career am I going to follow? It's there. All of these things are what help you go, okay, I'm very empathetic, right? For example, my mother and I share a trait that when we get emotional or something is emotional, we tend to cry, and we both hated it. And recently I'd had this conversation with her and I said, she goes, oh, I hate that I cry when things get sad or we're emotional. Like it's so annoying, I call it leaking. And I said, Mom, you know what? It is one of your strengths because, and I take it as one of my strengths as well, because it shows how real and authentic we actually are. Like you literally can't hide it. Like tears come rolling out, and that just shows how real and how, yeah, authentic a person you are.
Yeah, and there's self-awareness in that, right? And I think about that quite frequently where that becomes the predicating factor in so many parts of our journey as like getting to this place in your life where you understand who you are at depth. Because I think it's really easy, especially to get confused. Look at the opportunity that you had to pack up your life, to change where you were, to ultimately change your mind and go back to your home. Like that's something that people think about, right? What have you done that has given you the ability to see through your decisions and go to the other side with them?
I think that ultimately I've had this ability to follow my heart and listen to my intuition.
Hey, Unbroken Nation, we'll be right back to the show, but I wanted to let you know that you can grab a copy of my first book, Think Unbroken: Understanding and Overcoming Childhood Trauma, for free. If you go to book.thinkunbroken.com, you can download the PDF ebook version of the book and get everything that I know about the baseline of healing trauma for free, downloaded to your email right now. Just go to book.thinkunbroken.com to download your copy of Think Unbroken: Understanding and Overcoming Childhood Trauma for a PDF for your phone. Again, that is book.thinkunbroken.com.
It's like you said, self-awareness and learning to hear your inner voice and honoring that. It's, like I said with my father, it was okay. And, we spoke about regret. It's like, okay, if I don't move back and anything happens to my dad, I'll never regret myself. And so, forgive myself. And so I packed my life up and went, I'm just going to figure it out. And I don't know exactly where I got that from, but a lot of successful people, as we have similar mentors, and it's like they say the similar thing. It's make a decision and figure it out. And that's part of the beautiful challenge of life. It's like we can't prepare and plan for everything. It's things are just going to hit us, and it's your ability to bounce back and make a decision, honor it, no matter what. Because at the end of the day, like if you make a decision and it doesn't turn out to be that well, you're never going to know if the other one was better. It's just accept the process, accept, and yeah, just learn to honor that.
Yeah, and in that, I think one of the more difficult things is there's no pathway in front of you. Like, as much as you would love to be able to have every single thing planned out step by step, and I think you can agree with this, like it's just
Mhm.
not there. And so in that, like, is there a measure of this in which you create a North Star or a direction that you want to head? Like, how do you figure out how to step into this in a way that's it's going to help you trust your gut, trust your intuition? How do you know if you're on the right track?
The question, because I think, and I preach this, I think especially with my clients that it's very important to know where your North Star is and what it is exactly, your why, as they say. It's what do you want and why do you want it? And knowing that that is the destination that you want to get to. And it's knowing that shit's going to go wrong along the way, and just to take it with a grain of salt, like just pivot, move, dodge, dive, redirect, go off path. Like as long as all roads lead to that North Star, it's and staying focused. A lot of people will say like, "Oh, how do you stay motivated? How do you stay focused?" And I know you're an advocate of this as well. And it's writing your goals down every day. It's that daily reminder of why I'm doing this and how I'm going to feel once I get there. And it's even to that point where you and I have talked about like when we die, we don't want to be feeling regret that we weren't the best version of ourselves. And I was literally just saying this conversation with a client of mine is when I die, I want to make sure that I achieve the best version of myself there, like that I get to, high five the rear on the other side and be like, we did it, girl.
Yeah, and that to me feels like optimal, right? But I know that people face this tremendous amount of fear in I mean, even just hearing this, they're like, I don't know how to set goals. I don't know what to do. I don't really have a starting point. How do you get into just setting goals and creating I guess I would call it momentum. How do you start this process to move forward? Especially if you're in this place where you don't know where to begin.
Mhm. So it's again identifying the end goal. All right, what is it that you want to achieve? And then we reverse engineer it from that and work out the steps, work out the little destinations along the way. It's like if you GPS to a destination you want to get to, and then all of these other little destinations pop up along the way, and you might think, oh, I just want to go straight to that destination. That's the ideal. But then along the way, you get detoured over here, and actually, that looks pretty good. I will enjoy the view from here for a little bit, and I'll take some time. And the journey is actually probably it is the best part in achieving that destination. And when you know that or embrace that not everything is going to go according to plan. I was an event manager in my previous corporate life. And one thing I knew is that nothing ever goes according to plan. So even though you can set the North Star, you can set your why, okay, this is where I want to go. This is how I'm going to get there. These are the steps that I need to take. These are the contacts I need to make. These are the skills that I need to acquire. Knowing all of that is fantastic. And really that does give you the depth of knowledge to say by acquire all these things, then it really, there is no way I can't reach that goal. technically. But also the daily reminders, the daily action, making sure that you look at your week. I like to set my week from Sunday. I have a reassess where I'm at and how I feel about where I'm at on the whole scope of things, not just professionally, but personally with my family and everything. Like, we are a whole being. And so we can't just look at one aspect. And so when we look at all the aspects and constantly reassess, reaffirm, make sure, yep, this is the direction that I want to go, even though it may seem redundant to a point that, okay, I seem to just be writing the same things down. But that reiteration is that reminder, that fuel, and that desire to keep you going. So I think that's probably one of the most important parts, and as well as really honing in on who you are as a person and learning to love who you are in the moment. A lot of things that people come to me about is they're like, I don't like who I am. I want to be this person, or I want to be here. And this person, like, they almost despise who they are in that moment. And it's heartbreaking because I never see them like that. But it's helping them bring out the beautiful qualities that they don't even realize are so wonderful and necessary in this world, and the impact that they make on others, even though it may not be where they want to be. But we need to just honor the process. Okay, you're here now, but these are the beautiful things you do now. And then these are the things that you need to do to get to where do you want to be in the near or distant future. But it's breaking that down into steps and just taking action, but understanding that there will be setbacks. But when we look at it, the stairway of success, it's like, yes, it might be going up, and then it will crash, a bit like the ebb and flows of the heart. But in actuality, the levels are just that little bit higher the next time. And then you go up, and then it may crash down and be like, oh man, I'm such a failure. But it's like, well, actually, you're not. You've learned. And look, you're actually, again, progressively higher than you were the last time. So yeah, they're the primary things that big things, the primary things that I look at when I work with people.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I think the only time you're ever actually a failure is when you don't try. And that can be, that can be a hard pill for people to swallow and hear that, but it's the truth, because the difference between success and failure in life is action, period. There's no other way that you're going to get to what you want, right? And that's whether or not you're trying to be a high performer or a great parent or an awesome business owner, or just in this journey of getting this place of compassion and love. You mentioned something about self-love, and I think it's a conversation that probably is not had enough, because people get in this place where they're trying to build goals, they're trying to be resilient, they're trying to create this life on the other side of whatever that catalyst may be. And yet there's this elephant in the room, if you will, about self-love and about the narrative we have for ourselves. If you're a person who is in this place where you're like, yeah, I hear everything you're saying, Ria, but like, I don't love myself. I don't know what that means. I don't know how to connect to that. How could they start that process?
Ugh. There is no correct one starting line, is there? It's start where you are. And the most intense way that I've learned to really look myself in the face, look myself in the eyes, and try to connect. And that's looking in the mirror. It's actually when the first time you try to connect yourself and you look into your eyes in a mirror, it's uncomfortable. And most people just don't want to do it. And like, people say they have their mirror face, they look in the mirror and they're like, they kind of move their face to look the way that they want to look because, they don't think that they're perfect enough, or they're not happy with how they look in the mirror. So they've got their mirror face. And I don't have a mirror face because I actually like looking into my own eyes. It's very intense. And I had an experience where you know, and I know you've done a lot of work with Tony Robbins too. And for the life of me, I can't pronounce the practice, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. It's when you look at yourself in the mirror and you say the affirmation of, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. And repeating that in the mirror, it just reduced me to tears. Like I just sobbed, and to the point where I smiled. And it's like I've let go of a lot of hurt and pain that I had carried. And I was on the other side of that. And it was like, it was freeing. It was just so beautiful and freeing to be in that moment. I really, truly loved myself in that moment. And I do every moment since, you know, it's not like I didn't before, but when you truly connect to your soul, it's, there's nothing more powerful.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And that was my experience as well. And you know, honestly, I fell into that same exact experience completely by accident. I mean, when I started my journey, you know, 11, almost 12 years ago now, it was I went and looked in the mirror because I was challenging myself. I was like, what are you gonna do? Step your fucking life up, do something. But in that moment, this really incredible thing happened where like I stepped into compassion for myself, where I stepped into forgiveness for myself. And so many of those things came along with it because you're right, people do have the mirror face. And it's like if you will take, and I wrote about this in my book also because I think it's so incredibly important. If you take 5 minutes and you stare at yourself in the eyes, you're going to learn a lot about who you are, right? You're going to come to reality about a lot of things. And that can be incredibly powerful. And it's this beautiful catalyst for creating a massive shift in your life. So I'm right there with you. And I implore people listening. And I know it even sounds a little hokey and cheesy, right? You're like, what the fuck are these guys talking about? But the truth is, like, go and stare in front of that mirror and take this moment and this time and be present with yourself, and it will transform your life if you're willing to be honest in that moment. Ria, my friend, this has been an absolute amazing conversation. Before I ask you my last question, can you tell everyone where they can find you?
Yes, it's been my pleasure, and I'm easy to find because there's only one Ria Mestiza in the world. On Instagram, I'm Coach Ria Mestiza, and my website is Fitsique, FITSIQUE.com.au. And yeah, I'd love to connect and hear any feedback people have had from the show.
Absolutely. And of course, we will put all of the links in the show notes. Ria, my friend, my last question for you is what does it mean to you to be unbroken?
Unbroken to me, Michael, is just, it's, even though it's broken, but being unbroken, just, it's empowering. You know, it's empowering because it just demonstrates the ability to be strong despite all the shit that we go through, to be powerful, strong, and yeah, like scars are beautiful, man. Like you've gone through so much and I've gone, you know, we all go through so much. Embrace it. Embrace being unbroken and summon your superhuman, man. It's just live your life.
Powerfully said, my friend. Unbroken Nation, thank you so much for listening. Please like, subscribe, comment, tell a friend. And until next time, my friends, be unbroken. I'll see ya. Thank you so much for listening to Think Unbroken. Please share this episode with someone who could use it and help us move forward in our mission of ending generational trauma in our lifetime. And if you would, please take 5 seconds to pop on iTunes or Spotify, hit that 5-star, leave a review, and you can also reach out to us on social at Michael Unbroken or at Think Unbroken. And of course, you can check out our YouTube channel at Think Unbroken. Thank you for being a part of Unbroken Nation, my friends. And until next time, be unbroken. Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show. But I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of live coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. And I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program.